Gee whiz, I always have to be ready with these. Hi, this is Mark Rushton of MarkRushtonGallery.com. It is Thursday evening, December 8th, 2022, and went to the library earlier with my daughter. She wanted to go to the library and get some books, and I needed to take something back, and I found something very interesting that I'm going to go over here soon. Instead of painting, and I'm just meh on that. I'm in a meh mood lately. So no painting this session here. This is just going over the book. Going and drinking some kefir here. Kelowna Supernatural, 100% vanilla flavored, organic, grass fed. That sure is delicious. Link is in the below area where you might be able to buy it yourself. Wash that down with a little bit of lemon water. Why do you drink lemon water, Rushton? It's a good for you. What can I say? So, I love smaller art books. And I had some time this evening, and I was able to kind of actually go through this and read through it pretty quickly, and highlight some sections here that I'm just going to kind of breeze through. Start off, and I'm not going to show everything, but I'm going to end with the Fairfield Porter, one of my favorites. And it's interesting. Gosh, cleared my throat here. So I had the an Alex Katz book a month or two ago. And I just kind of like these little, they're like an interview or something. They like to show him a bunch of paintings, or he talks about them. I think a lot of artists should do this sort of thing. It's kind of an interesting concept. And I like small art books, especially when we're talking about different pieces or anything. So let's see if I have Alex Katz is one of the best known and most prolific and influential painters of our time. He's at exhibitions everywhere. So where do we get started here? Oh, let's get started here. And I wanted to cover this one up first because, this is so good. This is so good here. And let's see if I can bring this a little closer to the screen here. What are your thoughts on it? What do you think he's going to say about this? This is the first image inside the book. What's the important thing about this? Yeah, it's good. It's very indicative of Alex Katz's style back in the late 50s, early 60s. That's good. I mean, has he captured something there? What do you think? Do you think he's captured something there? Oh yeah. Yeah, he's definitely. Let me read it now. I'll uncover it and read it. To Ada. Ada was like winning the lottery. Great charm, perfect social manners, great dresser, great looks. She was ahead of me in understanding modern thought. She had the great taste of my father and the sharp humor of my mother. She was the best social dancer I'd ever met. All right, let's get going here. Let's continue. And hold on here. Where did we go? And it's got the list of artists in here, and it's alphabetical. And it talks a little bit about his history here. High school and college, and the large faces and large environmental landscapes. And in Madrid once, an interviewer asked whether I thought of myself as an over-the-hill minor painter. Oof, ouch. What? I said I didn't, but a lot of people do. And then he's talking about the 30,000 years ago there was an artist who was as good as it gets. See overleaf. I wonder how many years it took to produce this artist and how many other artists were around to help him come to this level. Art doesn't progress. Art doesn't progress. It just changes, like fashion in clothes or music. There is no progress in art, only change. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to say there. Yeah. Art doesn't progress; it just changes, like fashion in clothes or music. There is no progress in art, only change. That's an interesting philosophy. Doesn't progress? Yeah, it's the progress. It changes. So like a lot of people look at a lot of modern day art, and I would not say that it has progressed at all. It definitely has changed, and I think largely for the worse. So you scratch your names on the wall of the cave. Look at that. That's dated to possibly 30,000 BC. Charcoal drawing on rock. And you're gonna have to go down way in the caves to get there. How they do that, right? All right. What's the first one here that we talk about? Bernard. Pierre Bernard. Let me get these stickies off of here. It's my way of going through the book, right? And I'll read it. With Bernard, it's no longer figures contained by black lines, as in Picasso, Matisse, Mondrian, Beckmann. It becomes a field of light over figures and landscapes, still lifes and interiors. That power influenced a lot of painters in the early 1950s. The interior worlds of the self-portraits and nudes in the complete harmony with the expanding light. So there you go. That was nice. And then we get up to very quickly. We go through a lot of ours here, but I really just kind of wanted to focus on a few here. And of course, we all know this one, don't we? When I first saw the Mona Lisa, I was so disappointed in it. The actual physical painting didn't seem to be particularly interesting. The surface strokes seemed somewhat dreary, but the image was unforgettable. At first, it's the smile they talk about, but you realize that the smile is frozen. It's the eyes that are alive. Finally, it seemed as if it was Leonardo looking through a mask at you. It was a crazy experience, and if I could have that experience, I'm sure other people have too. Anything you can think of as an artist, he has already thought of. You can be sure of that. That's a beautiful reproduction there, or photograph, or I mean that looks good. So it's not the smile, it's the eyes. Well, they're kind of connected, Alex. And then something that I always go on about de Kooning here, and he talks about de Kooning in here, and honestly, I must have my 2 cents in here because if Alex looking at art with Alex Katz and Mark Rushton, I still don't get de Kooning. I still don't get him. I always say about the woman paintings. Did he really like women? Because I don't know about that. Did he really like women? I don't know. And just I don't get it. Right? I know nothing about art, and this is why. Right? Or this here. I just don't get de Kooning. I realize he floats a lot of people's boats, but I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like that weird like I don't get into jazz rock or whatever, a little bit maybe, but it's no. Jazz fusion. That's it. Jazz fusion. People have tried to play me jazz fusion. I'm just like, too many notes. This, I'm not. Anyway, let's go on. That's the one thing I wanted to point out that I was just like, I'm not really into that. And the Jane, how do you pronounce that? Freilicher. And she was on the scene back in the day, and I love what he wrote here about her. Jane's paintings in the 1950s were my favorites. We became friends in 1954. She accepted me as a legitimate painter. She had Friday night parties where everyone could speak French and play the piano a bit, and it made me feel great to be there. Nice. Everyone wants to be a little accepted. Yeah. What's next? David Hockney, of course. And my guess is that Hockney will take the place of Turner as the English artist most liked by the English people. His art is unpretentious and gracious. Hockney is a product of parents who supported him and an art school where he thrived. His early work in etching and illustration is a product of the time in which he lived. He emerged in London in the 1960s and had a talent for illustration like Andy Warhol and Joe Brainerd. His most recent paintings are real good paintings with no loss of great manners. Actually, Turner's early although Hockney embraced new communication forms, they did not prevent him from making better paintings. Exactly. Like his iPad paintings. And this is an interesting take on Edward Hopper here. And I saw the Hopper exhibit at the Whitney Museum in the summer of '95, and I was amazed at the number of people there and how they reacted to the paintings. It seemed he was able to capture a feeling that most people could relate to their lives, despite the fact that many of the paintings were from 60 to 70 years earlier. The styles, as John Updike noted in his article in the New York Review of Books, were misinterpreted by some of the writers in the catalog who thought the people were down and out, poor people. However, they were mostly our classless middle class. The viewers had no trouble relating to the painting subjects. Hopper seems to reach more people than any other American artist. The paintings themselves have strong images in a pedestrian technique. The colors all seem made up and applied. They don't come from perception and are far from realistic. He has a nice sense of a long line and a big shadow, but the paintings often collapse around faces and breasts. Some of Hopper's compositions seem forced, like a cartoon or illustrated advertisement. They seem a distant cousin to Theodore Dreiser, whose writing is often awkward and limited. Okay. Interesting take. Just about how people relate to Hopper for some reason. Of course, Nighthawks and his probably his most famous one. So, and then next is Barney Newman and his Zips. And I never really understood Barnett Newman. I like the stuff, but it is what it is, right? In his etchings and lithographs, Newman is a great graphic artist. The color weights are perfect, and the direct way he began painting in the late 1940s places him in exclusive company. His titles seem calculated for the outside world and do the art a disservice. Untitled, right? Or, number one, 1965, or whatever. It's like, you got to give it a title, guys. Give it a title. Yeah, his titles seem calculated for the outside world and do the art a disservice. His stories are ridiculous. What does he mean by that? He might just as well be selling shoes. However, the graphics and paintings are among the finest produced in their time. It's not a stripe. It's figure and ground. The weights between the figures, the zips, and the grounds are different and usually perfect. He had great execution. I don't know what... I never understood the zip thing. Maybe I didn't get it. I do like his stuff, though. I just don't get the, I know nothing about art, and this is why, right? Okay. So, last one here is Fairfield Porter. And, one of my favorites. And I think Fairfield Porter painted Alex Katz at least once, maybe a number of times. Fairfield Porter is a painter of great refinement and subtlety. He has a strong technique and a wonderful sense of place, and is skillful in combining local surfaces with an all-over light, particularly in some of his still lifes. He has a tendency to go for all-over painting, and the images, which are interesting and intelligent, suffer. I find the painting more interesting than the images. I know what he means by that. I get that. I find the painting more interesting than the images. The realistic world he painted always had a great deal of style. And I love this. Fairfield made me feel I was okay. He called up and visited. We disagreed on almost every painter, but he wrote about me and was very supportive. It made me feel that my paintings were okay. It gave me confidence. That's nice. That is really nice. In a Whitney biennial, I had a large face of Edwin. I was surprised that Fairfield liked. He said it was the best painting in the show. All right. That's it for this evening here. Looking at Art with Alex Katz. Great book. Even the ones I didn't mention here. I just kind of wanted to breeze through it. I didn't want to have too long of a video. And I want to end with Fairfield Porter. What's wrong with that, right?